Darren, great to see you again, and thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here, Craig.
Aptorum Group is a pharmaceutical company dedicated to developing and commercializing novel therapeutics to tackle unmet medical needs. For viewers new to the story, Darren, please give us an overview of Aptorum.
Sure, I would love to. And Aptorum Group is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company that we're currently listed on the NASDAQ under the ticker APM. We focus on a number of disease areas, including but not limited to oncology diseases, infectious diseases, metabolic diseases, as well as women's health. As a result of that, we currently have two drug assets, which is our current core focus, including one asset in the infectious disease space that has just started phase 1 clinical trials targeting MRSA. We have another drug which is targeting an oncology disease called neuroblastoma, which we're just about to commence phase 1b/2a trials as well, subject to the IND application. We also have two non-drug assets. One of them is an infectious disease diagnostics technology. It's a liquid biopsy-based technology targeting the diagnostics of infectious diseases. And lastly, a women's health supplement product targeting women's menopause, currently in the process of commercialization.
In May, Aptorum Group announced positive interim phase 1 clinical trial progress for ALS4, which targets Staphylococcus aureus, and positive pre-IND progress on SACT1 targeting neuroblastoma. Please give us some of the highlights.
Sure. As I said before, ALS4 is a novel small molecule drug targeting a very deadly bacterial disease called MRSA. This particular drug has been with us since the beginning of discovery all the way up to now, which is currently in phase 1 clinical trials. And a couple of weeks ago, we have released our interim data on our first 2 cohorts of healthy volunteers under the study of these phase 1 clinical trials, the purpose of which is to assess safety, toxicity, and some of the pharmacokinetics of the drug itself. And through our press release, we're pleased to report that in our first 2 cohort of healthy volunteers, there were no adverse events, there were no dropouts being observed, and as a result of that, the drug has proved to be safe in our first 2 cohorts. And as a result, on the back of that data, we're currently proceeding on to the final 2 cohorts, which is cohort C and D, where we'll be continuing to increase the dose as part of what we call the dose escalation study for this particular drug as part of our phase 1 trials. We expect to be able to wrap up the phase 1 trials together with data before the end of Q4. But overall, we'll continue to release data in the interim as we progress through the different cohorts as well. On the other asset, which is SACT1 drug targeting neuroblastoma, it is a repurposed small molecule drug based on the previously FDA-approved drug to target this very deadly cancer disease called neuroblastoma, which is primarily a pediatric-based nerve tissue cancer. We have completed our pre-IND meeting with the US FDA earlier in Q1, and we were pleased to inform that there were the FDA has indicated that should we submit an IND application, they would not object to that particular IND application. They are subject to certain small experiments that we need to complete, but we'll be looking to target the submission of the IND over the course of this summer for the SACT1 drug as well.
Also recently, Aptorum reached an agreement with women's health leader Exeltis to develop, manufacture, and commercialize Aptorum's novel preclinical candidate targeting women's gynecological conditions, chief among them endometriosis. This agreement covers the European Union and Latin America with the option to expand the collaboration to the United States. What is endometriosis, Darren, and how does Aptorum intend to fight it? And how will the agreement with Exeltis help Aptorum defeat endometriosis and related gynecological conditions?
Well, endometriosis actually affects, on average, 1 in 10 women in the world. Many women have it and suffer from it, and in some cases, they don't even know it's caused by endometriosis. Now, endometriosis is basically these very painful lesions that grow inside your uterus, and in very extreme cases, causes infertility and a lot of daily pain as a result of this disease. There are currently a number of treatments available, however, none of them are ideal. For example, surgical removal of the lesions often causes recurrence issues and also, in some extreme cases, infertility as well. The other mainstream of treatment is a hormonal-based treatment, which unfortunately uses something akin to a contraceptive to treat endometriosis. And as a result of that, many childbearing age women becomes infertile as a result of that particular hormonal treatment as well. So right now, in the market, there are currently no non-hormonal based treatment for endometriosis. We have in our early stage of drug discovery a preclinical stage small molecule which is targeted for endometriosis since our development and inception of Aptorum. We were glad to be able to partner up with Exceltis, who is a major women's health focused pharmaceutical company in the world. Their headquarters is based in Spain, and they were actually very interested to collaborate with us to develop this particular small molecule into a commercializable product, initially in the European Union, also including Latin America, obviously with an option to expand into the United States. We expect that we'll be commencing this work very, very shortly in terms of further development work on this particular product to allow Exceltis to be able to submit this particular drug for approval with the relevant regulator in due course. So we're very excited by that. And we believe that by partnering with Exceltis with such great distribution power across the women's health area, across in the European Union and in Latin America and potentially the United States, will greatly improve the visibility and the distribution of this drug, and in due course to be able to increase and improve our revenue for our company as a result.
Aptorum has an impressive management team and high executive ownership. In May, for example, Ian Hewen, the CEO and founder of Aptorum, bought nearly 1.4 million shares of Aptorum stock. Tell us about your key players, their skills, and their commitment to your company.
Sure. Mr. Ian Hewen is one of our co-founder and also the major investor since the beginning and the inception of Aptorum Group. He invested very heavily in the pre-Series A round and also in subsequent subscription rounds. And I'm glad to report that he has not sold a single share in the company all the way until this date. In fact, as you saw in the recent news, he also further subscribed to another 1.4 million shares just a few weeks ago in the company itself. As a result of that, between Mr. Ian Hewen, who's the major founder, and also myself and some of the management team, we currently have way over 70% of the company held within the management team itself. Mr. Ian Hewen himself was a Princeton graduate. After the graduation, he joined Janus Mutual Funds as a healthcare research analyst before he started his own asset management fund in the US, focused on US healthcare and biotech space for many, many years. So as a result, that brings with him a lot of capital market experience, and also the fact that his further subscription in the company is a vote of confidence in the way that our current pipeline is being developed and the prospect of this company itself. In terms of some of our key players of our company, I'll need to introduce maybe a little bit about myself. So I am Darren. Previously, I came from a financial background. I was working for one of the major British investment bank called Barclays Capital. As a result of that, my current role primarily is focused on a lot of investor relations work and also ensuring the capital market strategy aligns with the business development of the company to enhance stakeholder value for our shareholders itself. The other team member I'd like to also emphasize is our head of research and development, which is Dr. Thomas Lee. Dr. Thomas Lee has over 20 years of clinical development experience. He was previously worked in Celgene and Novartis for many years. And during his Celgene days, he was part of the candidate selection committee responsible for pushing forward their preclinical stage candidates into successful clinical stage drugs during his days in Celgene. He worked on over 25 assets over his career, over 8 of which have since reached the market and a number of which have reached blockbuster sales as well. And the last person I'd like to also mention is our third executive director, Dr. Clark Chen. Dr. Clark Chen was trained a MD in University College of London. Subsequently, he completed his specialist training over in Raffles Medical Hospital, and he was there for over 10 years. And his last position was the Deputy General Manager of the Raffles Medical Group. It brings with him a lot of clinical setting experience, clinical development experience, and running clinical trials in hospitals as well. And we're very glad to have him as our Chief Medical Officer of the company.
Let's recap now, Darren. What is the main takeaway for investors? Why should investors take an interest in Aptorum today?
So this is the first year where Aptorum Group has now fully entered into what we call the clinical stage of the life cycle itself. As you can see in our pipeline, we have a number of catalysts coming up over the course of the a previous quarter and also over the course of this summer, all the way stretching into Q4, primarily related to further data on our ALS4 small molecule drug, our SACT1 drug, which is shortly we're targeting for submission on IND to commence phase 1 trials, and also some of our other non-drug products, including the imminent commercialization of our women's health product targeting menopause, as well as our ongoing human clinical validation for our rapid pathogen diagnostics to using liquid biopsy as an approach. A lot of data is going to come out in the second half of this year, and we'll continue to update the market, hopefully with some of these positive data as we go along. And also, obviously, with some more additional sort of collaboration and potential partnerships potentially available for us, we'll hope to be able to update the market in due course in the second half of this year.
We look forward to that, Darren. It's an interesting story. Always great to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.